Hello guys, strap in, it's gonna be a long one. I'm gonna start off by saying that I'm kind of pissed off and annoyed that I have to make this video, that I feel obligated to make this video. I have to stop what I'm doing for my day, making knives, to go over this subject. So, let's put a little context in here, right? My knives are not perfect. I don't think my knives are perfect. I know my knives are far from perfect. I'm still learning. I focus on performance over aesthetics. I'd like to have a pretty knife. I'd much rather have a knife with a thin grind and a few flaws that performs amazingly than a perfect looking knife that is shit. All right. I've made nearly 100 knives, so I'm very early, right? Very, very early. I've heat treated about 99 knives. I have one more packet, should make about somewhere around 100. So let's say heat treated and ground about 100 knives to some extent. I have a couple blanks that aren't finished, whatever. All right. So Alan Portery, I have my notes here. Alan Portery of Rustic Red's Leather is attempting to bully and or extort a free knife from me. And I have the email transcription here. I'm going to read a couple things from it. If you would like the email transcription, let me know. I'll make it available. So it all started off a couple months ago, back in June. Alan contacted me and said, hey, I bought this knife. Actually, the way that I read it initially, it sounded like he was trying to tell me that he was the original owner, which, you know, I didn't think he was because I didn't know who this person was. But anyway, came and said, hey, I have this knife, and there's some pitting on the bevel. I thought that was strange, right? He also said there was a spot on the spine, which I said that was left over from electro etching. Maybe the stuff on the other side of the bevel. This is the model in question. This isn't the knife, but this is the model in question, which is a modified splinter. There was some pitting on this side of the blade and nothing really on this side of this blade, and there was a mark on the spine from the electro etch that I didn't clean up for whatever reason. So he said, I said, hey, yeah, you know, that's left over from the electro etch. It's purely cosmetic. It won't really affect anything. He said, I see the spine staining near the tip. That's no problem. I'm talking about actual pitting, like pockets of missing metal on the blade. So I asked him to send me some photos, and he sent me photos, and I have circled on here. Hopefully these are all in frame. I've circled all the spots that I think kind of were pitting. Now this is a CPM 10V steel, sitting at 65 HRC, kind of belt finish, you know, the best you can get on 10V. 10V is hard to finish. But I've gone ahead and I've highlighted and circled all of those little spots. I certainly thought it was strange. I was wondering how I missed it. I stopped my day. I went through and I reviewed all the footage that I had of the knife. I went to the original customer and said, hey, did you notice this? Was this here? Did this happen afterwards? Because I want to kind of know how this is going on. How did I miss this? Turns out that I missed it. I still don't know how, but I missed it. So we found it on the original owner's video of the knife. Right when he first got it, it was there. So whatever, I missed it. I said, okay, send it in. Regardless of somebody did it or I did it, I was gonna have him send it in anyway. I just wanted to know what happened in the process, right? I want to know, was this from food? Was this from something else? Like, is this something I should be more concerned about? Because this was from the same bar, right? Maybe there would be a problem with this one too. This is in for warranty. This is in for spa kind of warranty stuff, thin out the handle. But so I kind of want to know what's going on, try to determine, is it me? Is it the steel? Was it the user? What was it? All right. He was very happy that I responded to him quickly and that I stood behind my craftsmanship. I didn't think it was a big deal that there was these, very small pits on the seal. He brought up an excellent point about bacteria getting into the pits of the steel and it being a breeding ground for bacteria. And I said, that's an excellent point. You're right. Send it on over. I'll clean it up. So I get it. And I take it to the grinder, and I think I did everything with 120 grit belt. The starting grit was 120 grit. Came, touched it on the grinder, maybe took 2 thou off at the most, off of the non-show side, the problematic side, and then I flipped it over to the show side and went ahead and took maybe a thou off. I didn't want to grind too deep. I didn't want to get rid of the etch. Even though the etch is in there a little bit, I didn't really want to mess with that because it's going to make it very difficult to re-etch. He wanted a certificate of authenticity. I said, yeah. It took me a couple days to get around to that. I was going to do a couple different things and just went with my standard one from years ago. He raved about quality of my product. What else do we have here? So he sent it. I fixed it. I gave him a COA. He wanted some videos of the knife. I sent him some videos of the knife. He said, okay, I see a little scratch, a couple scratches on the show side, but not a big deal. And then he came up with a concern of, well, wouldn't the grind be uneven from side to side, and wouldn't the stock thickness be thinner if you reground the knife? And I said, well, no, not necessarily. It's a convex grind, and the amount of steel that I took off is very little. It probably took me less than 5 minutes to touch up that knife. So it's not really a concern. He gets the knife back, and let's find that. It said it was much sharper, so it was kind of dulled out from the original user, which is fine. The original user used it, tried to sharpen it, might have had some trouble with 10V. That's fine. I do have to find my notes because I'm going to later mention the original user, and I have to change his name because he doesn't really need to be directly involved. But anyway, said much sharper, and then he went into saying, because I reground the blade, the plunge line was off center and no longer symmetrical, and provided me a photo of it. And I agree. I totally 100% agree that the plunge line looks like shit. Photo, plunge line looks like shit. I printed it out in black and white. And he said, you did this when you fixed the knife. When you put lipstick on a pig, you did this. I want a free knife. I want a replacement knife. And I told him, I actually took several days to get back to him because I was kind of wondering what to do. So I reached out to a couple other makers and said, hey, here's the situation. What should I do? And they said, it sounds like he's just trying to get a free knife. Don't make him a free knife. And I said, all right. So I replied back and said, I'm not going to give you a free knife. It's not a defect in material. It's not going to lead to, premature failure or anything. What did I say? I had said that I had funky plunge lines until I got my carbide platen, which is true. Now it's much better. Definitely figured out plunges. I still get some funky plunges, but not like that. And let's see. I originally was going to remake him a knife until I was like, why am I going to remake him a knife? So anyway, yeah, I decided to not remake him a knife after he was looking through my website trying to pick out what he might want. Originally this knife was valued at $210, and that's not what he bought it for. So thank you for your patience. I've been reviewing, just concerned and discussing it with a few mentors to get their opinion. I've decided I will not be making a replacement knife. When the knife was completed, it was an accurate representation of my best work. A cosmetic flaw such as an uneven grind at the heel does not constitute a warranty replacement. It doesn't. I'm sorry. It looks ugly. I get it. It's not appealing. I get it. You bought it secondhand, and you bought it for $75 less than what it was new. He said that there was some trade work involved in there. I traded him something and I paid him money. I can't verify that. What did you trade him? I asked him later on. It gets better because I asked him later on what he paid for it. And he's like, there's nothing wrong with talking to your mentors, but at the end of the day, it's your brand and reputations and products out in the wild. Word of mouth is massive for an upcoming brand and can really impact sales and longevity of a business. And there's where I had a problem. He started in with that, making it sound like he was going to extort me into getting a free knife / bully me into making him a knife. So he said I have a before and after photo of the grind. It was messed up. It was fine before. He provided that. It's very small here. The photo is of the original owner. It's off axis. You can't tell from that photo what the original grind was. So I went through Instagram and I reviewed back what it was, and I can show on Instagram from the two stills that I took that it was off center from the start. it was funky from the start, of which he had this knife for 2 months before reaching out to me about the pitting on the bevel, and he didn't mention anything about the asymmetric plunge. According to him, he reviewed my work, and then from there, he said he's all pissed off, right? He said, I said, if you're not happy with the knife, I said, if you're not happy with a vehicle that you buy in a secondhand purchase, you don't go back to the dealership and demand your money back, right? Comes to me saying I need to refund him for the money, right? So his one threatening line to me was, there's pretty much 2 options available for the situation you're in. You can replace the knife with an available equivalent blade, steel, or refund me the purchase price of my custom 10V splinter. Either way, you're going to make this right and not take the easy road out. Right? And he's telling me I should highly value my reputation and all this stuff. If he contacts me in 6 months, 3 months, next week, tomorrow, and says, hey, the scales popped off, fucking send it in. I'll fix it. I don't care about that. I'm not giving you a free knife over this cosmetic flaw. If you stab the tip into concrete and snap it off, it's knife abuse. I'll fix the knife, but I'm not going to rebuild the whole knife. If there was a crack in the spine when I sent it out that was missed, some sort of inherent failure, and that was what caused it to break, then yeah, I'll make a new knife. But it's not that. Now on to this. So, yeah, it sold for $210. He paid $135 for it. There is no knife that starts off at $135 in my catalog. So you'd still be owing me money at the end of the day, right? He said, oh, I'll send you the knife back and you can resell it and then still make me a new knife. But I'm not going to go through that. I don't think that I can please this person. I think that if I send it to him and the plunge line is off a little bit, that he's still going to come back and say, it's still not good enough. Let's do this knife instead. Let's do that knife instead. And if I do this for him, if I take that knife for him and I fix it, that sets a precedence that anybody else can come out and say, hey, my plunge is uneven, I want a free knife or a new knife. I want to send you my old knife, you resell it, and now I want your new stuff. That was an accurate representation of my work at the time. Just like I had a maker, I got a knife in that was from a maker, and it had a kind of a funky Scandi grind on it. And I went to the maker, hey, can I send this to you for a spa treatment? Fix up that Scandi grind. And he said, no, man, that was an accurate representation of my work at the time. And I was like, okay, that makes sense, right? It's kind of like a time capsule. And I just took it at that. I didn't bitch, I didn't moan, I didn't whine. I didn't say, hey, I'm gonna go to the internet and tell everybody. I'm gonna go back and forth. So that's all. So I find out from the original owner what the price was. And I asked him, I said, what did you pay for the knife? And he goes, and we're gonna change the original owner's name to Steve. He goes, well, I can't tell you what I paid for the knife. You'll have to go get permission from Steve. That's confidential information. And I said, I already know what you paid for the knife because I asked Steve, and Steve has been telling me that you're sending all of our correspondences to him. I also mentioned to Alan from Rustic Red's Leather that this guy, Steve, has another knife on order with me. And then he proceeded to harass Steve about how could you possibly order another knife from him with how he's treating me. Again, if the knife fails in a legitimate way, I'll take care of it. He had the knife for about 2 months before saying anything. The original owner did say he noticed the corrosion and he didn't care. And now he goes on to continue the email chain currently saying that cosmetic flaws in knives lead to premature failures. Never seen a single study. Would love to see a study about that. I say there's 0 studies. So, Alan, Rustic Red Leather, Alan Portery, Rustic Red Leather, you're not getting a free knife. You're not sending me a knife, and I'm not replacing that knife over this kind of bullshit claim. Now, if Steve got the knife and had it for like 2 days and was like, or even a day, an hour, whatever, and was like, yo, look at this fucked up plunge, I'd be like, oh my goodness, you're right. Like, that plunge is just fucked up. What do you want to do about it? And if he goes, I want, can I send it to you? You try to fix it. If you can't get it, we'll make a new one. I would say, sure, no problem. but this is more of an attack on me. This is more of a bullying and extortion that I'm not going to stand for. So, thank you. Have fun, Alan, of which you say you have a lot of pull in the EDC world, and that word of mouth reputations can be ruined, or reputations can be ruined through word of mouth. So, enjoy. Thank you.